YouTube, what's going on? I'm having a great day. Thank you for stopping by, and welcome back to Courtside Perspective. As you can see by the title, we'll be talking about two smaller moves today that I'm combining into one video because I don't really have as many thoughts on either of them to make them a separate video for each, so I'm just going to combine them into one. First one we'll be talking about is Kemba Walker being waived by the Oklahoma City Thunder and will be signing a deal with the New York Knicks as in a homecoming to play in Madison Square Garden. And this is a good pickup for the Knicks. I'm not exactly surprised that the Thunder are letting him go. I think, well, me personally and a lot of other people believe that it was going to be kind of questionable if he was going to ever play in a Thunder jersey at all this upcoming season. We kind of figured he'd be flipped in another trade, but him being bought out and waived is, I guess, kind of a little bit out there, all things considered, but the fact that he's not going to be playing in OKC is not at all surprising, especially considering you're kind of grooming Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to be your starting point guard of the future. To go out there and trade for another point guard, especially when, I guess you could play them again, you can play Shai at the 2, but it kind of seems questionable for the development of the team. It definitely really didn't make sense at the time anyway. For the New York Knicks, you get another point guard to help your team make a playoff push again this year. Another scorer that can help Julius Randle take care of those duties. And you also did just re-sign a couple players, including Derrick Rose, to a 3-year, $43 million deal. I think it was 3 years a couple days ago. The only thing that's questionable to me about this is, what is the Knicks' goal for the future? Because you did just draft Quentin Grimes last week, who is another guard. You drafted Emmanuel Quickley last year, who's a guard. You just re-signed Derrick Rose, and now you're going to get Kemba back. Well, not Kemba back, you're just going to get Kemba in general. Well, I think what's interesting is because there's no, seems like, direction for this team. I guess they're trying to just be a fun playoff team for the next couple of years, which I guess is fine, all things considered, because, I mean, you haven't really had playoff basketball in New York in a long time other than this past season. So I do get it from that standpoint. But it kind of seems like they'll be stuck in like the midway through the Eastern Conference, maybe on the lower tier of the playoff teams in the East. Because let's be realistic, are they better than the Bucks, the Nets, the Celtics, maybe the Sixers, the Hawks, and the Bulls? I don't think so. So the Celtics are those teams are the only ones that I think they're on, you know, potentially better than going into next season. The Celtics also have made basically zero moves. Kemba got traded for Al Horford, but that's pretty much the only big thing they've done. They also let Evan Fournier walk to the Knicks. It definitely is questionable to me, like I said, where their future is going, especially with Julius Randle going to be hitting free agency next season. I'm assuming they bring him back as well. The choice do you really have? But you have a lot of guards on the roster now. But I guess at the same time, you got to assume Kemba's going to be making a minimum because he was a buyout. And Kemba Walker in a minimum is going to be great value. He obviously wasn't great this past season, but he was making a lot of money. And if you're paying him a minimum contract, then you really can't go wrong. I'm assuming going into next season, you're looking at Kemba Walker as the starting point guard. Well, I'd assume so at the very least. And then Derrick Rose coming off your bench as your sixth man once again. You have RJ at the 2. Whoever they decide to run at the 3, unless they decide to run RJ at the 3. Julius at the 4, and Mitchell Robinson at the 5. I'm assuming Fournier will probably start at the 2 or the 3 to round out their starting 5 quickly, and Grimes and Obi Toppin and more coming off the bench with no one's Noel. Reggie Bullock as well. Could be in a pretty deep rotation with them this year. But like I said, overall, I like this move for the Knicks, and I like this move for the Thunder. You got off the contract. I mean, you still have to pay him, obviously, all this money, but it's off your books, and you continue moving forward with your rebuild without having another big contract on the books that's going to be just taking up minutes that you really probably don't want to be giving him because you're looking for the future, and Kemba's not exactly in your future plans. But yeah, like I said, overall, I like this move for both sides. The Knicks get another scoring point guard that they can definitely use going forward, and the Thunder get off the contract. The Knicks should be fun going in the next season. Like I said, I kind of have them maybe as a 6-7 seed next year because I already said they're not better than most of those teams I just named. I guess they can compete for the final playoff spots, including with like the Wizards and the Pacers and teams along that range. But yeah, should be pretty fun. Should be pretty fun going to next season. And now for the other move. Victor Oladipo agrees to return to the Miami Heat on a 1-year deal so he can re-hit free agency next offseason. See, this one's interesting to me because it's not exactly surprising. Well, it is, but it isn't. Because it is because you kind of thought maybe he could get another deal somewhere else for a minimum. Maybe he would leave. But at the same time, He also always wanted to be in Miami. He finally got to Miami. And it's got to be assumed that's for a minimum, especially considering I've looked it up. There's really still no timetable on his return. Some people are saying he might miss all of next season. And in the article that's released by ESPN with the deal information, it says that he's going to be rehabbing through at least the start of the season. So maybe we do see him come back this season. And if you do, then that's, for a minimum contract, victoroladipo coming off your bench, it's pretty good. The Heat also made some other moves as well. They just brought in Markieff Morris yesterday on a minimum deal. Like I said, this team is going to be scary. They really are. You got to assume their starting lineup looks like Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, and Bam Adebayo, with Tyler Hero, maybe Markieff Morris gets minutes. Victoroladipo, if he comes back. I guess Max Struss, maybe Chris Silva, as some other guys getting rotational minutes, but they do have some more moves to make to fill out this rotation, because we've kind of learned that it hasn't been officially announced yet, but it's assumed to be that the Kyle Lowry trade is for Goran Dragic, Precious, and a second, I think is what I've heard. So, yeah, I mean, they need some bench depth. They really do. They also just let Kendrick Nunn walk, which is not surprising whatsoever, because with all the money they've spent over the last couple of days, bringing him back seems pretty much impossible. So they let him walk to the Lakers. But the Heat will be good this season. Victoroladipo will be hitting unrestricted free agency once again next season. And hopefully he can return back to prior form. I mean, the guy has had so many injuries, but I cannot just avoid rooting for him, man. He's too good whenever he's healthy to not root for. The dude is a certified bucket, but with all these injuries, it's getting kind of scary. I mean, the guy just can't stay on the court. I mean, he got traded to the Heat, and he played 5 games before getting ended for the season, bro. He got shut down after 5 games, and that's not good. I don't know what the numbers are as to how many games he's played in the last 3 years, but it's definitely not good. Let me see. Since he came back in January 2020, he has played in only 52 regular season games, 28 with the Pacers, 20 with the Rockets, and 4 with the Heat. But that's just since January of 2020. That's not including the injuries before that. I'm sure he definitely regrets turning down that $45 million extension with the Rockets last season. But for the Heat, this is pretty good. You get to bring your guy back on a minimum deal, which you needed a roster spot anyway. And he's a minimum, so what are you going to really do about it? Based on the way the Heat's offseason looking right now with their depth, I got to assume that Markieff Morris will actually get rotational minutes throughout the regular season. He really didn't this past season other than because of injury, and he obviously did get minutes in the bubble. He even started, at center, I'm pretty sure, in the finals, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I know he started at center at some point. I'm pretty sure it was in the bubble, in the finals, rather. But for the Heat, I like this deal on a minimum, but hopefully he can get back to be healthy and return to even somewhat of prior form to at least be a rotational solid player moving forward. But before the injuries this season, he averaged about 20 points per game. It was low efficiency, but he was, doing what he could. But hopefully he can return to some kind of status. If you can get, 10 points a night out of him, after he returns from injury at some point this year, 10 plus points, then you consider that to be a win. He's not going to be even a top 6 guy in your rotation. So if you can get, 8 to 10 to 12 points from him, then you consider that to be a W. Like I said, I hope that he does return to prior form, and overall, I like both of these moves for both teams. Victoroladipo back to the Heat, and Kemba Walker to the Knicks, both of them on minimum deals. Let me know in the comments section what your opinion on both of these moves are. Hit that subscribe button so you can see more content from me, and smash that like button if you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy yourselves. Peace.